Yo guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Bachiru. So in this video I just want to talk about my impressions of Street Fighter 6 after I have tried the open beta. Unfortunately I was not able to get into the first two closed betas, so this is basically my first experience with the game. I've downloaded the demo, but it's very hard to enjoy, to be honest, with two characters. So this was like my first proper experience with the game. So I've played for like 2 to 3 hours. I had limited time during the weekend. So I just want to share my first impressions, like how do I feel about the game, and am I really gonna be into Street Fighter 6, like, or do I really want to get into it, like when the release comes in, like maybe in 10 days when this video goes live. The biggest thing that I like about the game right now is like it feels like it has a soul. It's like the game has its own like visual design. It has like its own aesthetic. It feels like this game was made like with a soul in it. I don't know how to explain this, because when I played Street Fighter 5 when it released, and like until I don't know version 2 season 2 or whatever you call it, I really felt like the game had no soul at all. It felt like it was a game made for competition only. It's like very bare bones. It's just like fighting, tournaments, esports, whatever. So I didn't really like get the best impression of Street Fighter 5, and I feel like even though the game like has really improved, like with Championship Edition and whatever you call the latest edition, I felt like the game took very long time to become a good game, to be honest, and to become something that would like entice me to play it. But I feel like that was way too late. So while I enjoyed like Street Fighter 5, I felt like the game frustrated me more and more, to be honest, with the way that it handled it. Like it didn't feel like a complete game all the time. So, and it felt like there was no aesthetics, there is no cohesion into the way it's made. I felt like the game really like was soulless. So I didn't really enjoy it. So my first impression when I booted like Street Fighter 6, the game like has really like its own flavor. Like it has its own aesthetic, like with the way that the music is done, with the way that the characters are designed, with like the verse screen, with the way like even the way that the characters animate, you know, it felt like really there's a lot of expression like in the way that the game is designed, and I feel like the developers really put love into it. There is like small details like in the what they call it, like the battle hub or the big lobby or whatever. It's really nice. You can play like Street Fighter 2 Turbo Edition. You can actually like watch like the music video of like the game, of like how they recorded it, like the real one or the intros or whatever. So it felt like really enjoyable to us, just like to cruise around the menus, see how the characters animate, like the versus screen, even like the way that the characters like react depending like on their health values. So the more tired they get, like they animate differently, like the win screens, the intros. I really love this, to be honest, and that's something that I really appreciate in fighting games. I really like a game that's like having its own personality, and that's something that I really felt with like when I was playing this open beta. The second thing I like about the game, it's like I feel like the gameplay of Street Fighter 6 is good, way better than Street Fighter 5, definitely. I have played Street Fighter, maybe I got into the series like since Alpha 3, so I played like Alpha 3, Street Fighter 4, a bit of Street Fighter 5, and now I get to play Street Fighter 6. So I really like the balance between like the mechanics and like the combo system and the movement. The game feels like really smooth. And even though I really don't know much about the mechanics or how to use them or like to fully master the game yet, I feel like there is a worth of options in the game, like for you to play the way you want. And that's something that also I didn't feel about Street Fighter 5. It felt like every character, like all the different players, they play the same character the same way. Like expression didn't feel like it was there. But with this game, I feel like you can really like tweak the way you play your character, like to differentiate yourself from other players. That's because the game, I think it has a more flexible combo system now, number one, and number two, there is a new like wealth of mechanics. So I think there's like this drive rush thing, which is basically like a rapid cancel, like from anime fighting games. There's like now like a V reversal, whatever you call it. There's a parry now in the game. There is different like juggle states. So I felt like I really like the way that like they balance things like between complexity and simplicity. Even though I really didn't know much like when I'm playing the game, but I felt like I was able like to figure out things and do some cool stuff while I'm playing, even without training, and that's something that I really enjoyed. And I feel like if you sink your teeth into the game, you can come up with like crazy stuff. I see some things on Twitter, like how people use like drive rush and how they make like longer combos or how they punish like things from full screen. I feel like the game will have some bullshit in it, and for me that's something that I enjoy actually. I like games to be a bit crazy, but we will see. So I only mainly focused on Juri during this open beta because she's the only character that interested me, to be honest. I felt like she was like they're bringing her back like to more like her Street Fighter 4 aesthetic more than Street Fighter 5, but I feel like they managed like to evolve the character in an interesting way, like taking what worked in here and what worked in there and making her into something new. And I really like characters like with a wealth of options, and that felt like good across the board, like from other characters that I was fighting. So I felt like each character, like they have like a complete kit, like they have their own like combo routes, they have like their own tools, different tools, etc. And like the general like design of the character, it complements like the system mechanics. You don't feel like new characters are designed like with the system mechanics in mind as opposed to older characters, and that's something that I really appreciated. I feel like characters like returning or new, they have either like new stuff like to compete with the newly designed characters, and they can use the system mechanics wisely, and that's something that I didn't really feel like it's the case in Guilty Gear Strive. Like older characters, they felt like stripped down, and the new characters felt like they were really designed for the game, and that doesn't feel like the case for Street Fighter 6. It feels like all the characters have been designed with the ground up, like with the game in mind. A character like Ryu now, it's like, okay, he's like the basic Shoto, but now he can charge his fireball, he can do different combos, and like he's really cool, you know. Even Ken, they managed to differentiate Ryu from Ken even further. So that's for me something that I really appreciated. The third thing like that I found like really amazing about the game is the netcode. Street Fighter 5's netcode was really horrendous. I really loved Guilty Gear and like how really it brought rollback to the mainstream, let's call it, even though other games did it before. But for Street Fighter 6 it was really smooth. I really didn't feel like any perceived lag or anything when I was playing, and I was mainly playing like with Europe guys and Middle East guys. So my experience like from like 30 to 50 millisecond ping to like 130 to 140, it felt really great. And I really think like they really put their effort into what they call it, like into the netcode itself, and that's for me. I really enjoy like smooth online play, and of course since this is Street Fighter and they're really going hard into like pushing this release and everything, I feel like the game will really survive like for a long time purely on the netcode. I know that Street Fighter will always be like a premier competitive fighting game, with like a lot of money and the Pro Tour. But for me, I'm someone who sits at home and plays online, and I really rarely compete in tournaments. So for me, having a game like with a good like rollback netcode and with good online systems, that's something I really appreciate. And that brings me also like to the online systems that are available in the beta. So you have the Battle Hub, which is like the lobby. It's functional, it's okay. It's not like Guilty Gear bad, but it's there. Like there's arcade cabinets, you sit on them, you play or you train, and you wait for someone to join. That's something I like. I also like that we have like a proper ranked match system, and I like that we have like a proper casual match like thing going on. And I feel like there's also like some other game modes that you can play online with other people, like online training, extreme battle, etc. So I feel like they really nailed also the online systems with the game, and that's something that I really was hoping that like they will not mess it up. And I feel like this is the thing that I really focused about. Even the open beta itself, to be honest, it was really a big surprise. The fourth thing that I really liked about the game in general, like, are the new characters. I felt like the new characters, they really add to the Street Fighter universe. So I saw like a lot of people playing Kimberly. Luke, I'm not a big fan of. I saw people like playing like Jamie, and all of the new characters like felt really nice to fight against, and they felt like they really animate nicely, and like they have their own personality, and they have like their own like character design. They don't feel like they're characters that started like new and they will need to be developed over time, if that makes sense. Because usually now the trend like with the new characters or like DLC or like a new characters to series, you don't feel like they're really complete until like few seasons or few patches in. And that's not an impression that I got like when I was fighting those characters. Each character felt like they're complete from the ground up. Especially like a character like Jamie, he has like a full like tool set ready already, and that's something that I realized. Like when I compare it to again Street Fighter 5 or Guilty Gear, like when we had characters like Nikali or in Guilty Gear, like they introduced new characters, it felt like it took them a while like to figure out what these characters like they will be, or like how they will be designed over time. But that's not something that I'm seeing right now with Street Fighter 6. I felt like they really like took their time and they're trying like to nail things down. And I'm really excited for the full release, to be honest. And that leads me like, I want to play the game when it comes out. I'm actually very rarely pre-order games but I'm gonna definitely pre-order Street Fighter 6 because I feel like the team that is making this game, they deserve my support, and if I can push them like by doing this, I know this is where it counts, like when with companies like and earnings, like how many people pre-order things. I don't encourage pre-ordering until you know what you're getting, but from what I have experienced or the sample that we were given, I felt like I'm really confident in it, even if I'm not a competitive guy or an esports or a pro tour or whatever. I feel like as a product it will feel like a good game. I haven't really tried single player modes yet because they don't exist yet, but I think like from what they've showed so far, like with a proper story mode and like an open world to explore and the single player modes, like it will be a fun game also, you know, just playing casually with people. You don't really need to compete. And so far, like my gripes for the game, if we want to move to that, I think it's only mainly one so far, which is the soundtrack. The soundtrack really sucks, in my opinion. It's really bad. You know, I've listened to some of it like on YouTube, like from the trailers or whatever was released, and I was listening like to some of it while I'm playing the matches. For me, I'm someone who like appreciates good music in fighting games, and I want to feel like when I'm playing like a fighting game, like the soundtrack really complements the action that's going on, and the soundtrack for this game is like, you know, like something like that. It's like you're driving and you're chilling, you know, in the street. It's not like you're fighting in a fighting game, and I feel like it's like just like some random like stock sound clips, you know. They just put them, patch them like together, and I know that might be insulting and some people might disagree, but I feel like the soundtrack was not really to my taste. I'm playing like now the theme of Kami in the background of this video, and what about it? It's not like the older themes, you know? And I don't want them to like to recreate the old themes. They can come up with new themes, yani. But I know that the aesthetic they're going is like hip hop and like graffiti and yo, like Street Fighter, you know, it's like it's in the streets. But come on, yani, you can do better with the soundtrack. Oh my god, yeah, you can do like a bit better with the soundtrack, I feel like. So I was really hoping that they would step it up. I know that they would add classic soundtracks or soundtracks from older games, but I never really think like this is a solution. It's nice to have the option like to play older music that you find nostalgic or you like or you want to hear all over the time, but I feel like this is not an excuse for developers like to not work on the current soundtrack. Street Fighter 5 soundtrack, surprisingly, I actually kinda enjoyed. We had like some really bangers in that soundtrack, like for example Ed's theme. It was really nice, so I was hoping that they would capture that kind of magic in this game, but so far the soundtrack is not to my taste, to be honest. The final thing I want to touch up on is like the performance. I don't know if people care about that. So I've played the PC version, so I'm rocking like an RTX 2080, and the game felt really smooth like to play in the battle system. But when I was going like through the battle hub, it felt really clunky and really slow. And maybe this is only like because it's a beta, but who really cares? Because I'm not going there. Like it's just like roaming around. It's not a big deal at the end of the day. But the game really looks nice graphically, to be honest, and the RE engine is amazing. And that's the first thing that I felt like skeptical when I was watching some YouTube videos. The game felt a bit like clunky when I was watching some things online, but when I played like the game and I got my hands on it, it felt really smooth, to be honest. Even the way like the animations are done, like even the input latency, everything felt okay for me, and especially on the PC version. So yeah, I'm actually very excited now to play Street Fighter 6. I'm looking forward for the release. Like during the month of June, I will be kind of busy because we have some things going on, but I will try my best like to make some content for the game. I will try to explore it like technically, make some guides, make some educational videos about the game. I will actually use this time like from today like until release like to watch what's the content that's already out. So what are like the hands-on previews that we've seen, like some character breakdowns, the explanation that the Street Fighter like officially released on their YouTube, some of the guides that people made like were lucky, you know, lucky to get the like their hands on the full release early, you know, like the Maximilians and the Roofmongers and you know the pro players, you know. So I would want to study this things like before the game comes out. So when the game is released, I feel like I'm actually ready, like just to be able like to jump into the game and have like an easier time getting into it. Because to be honest, playing the beta and like some videos will play in the background, I was really struggling like to get a grip on things because I really didn't spend any time like trying to learn things. Like I had limited time to play the beta, and I just wanted to get into matches, you know. And I thought to myself, okay, I can figure things out as I go. But I really want to dig more deeply mechanically into this game, and I hope that I can deliver like the same amount of quality, like good quality content that I know that I made for Guilty Gear Strive. So maybe I can focus that now on Street Fighter 6. So, alright guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate if you can support your boy with the subscription and the likes, and I'll catch you in the next video. Yalla, peace.